Guys, it's been a rough 2020. I don't know about you, but I've been just feeling so uninspired and I just let down. Honestly, I let down on this podcast. I let down on my filmmaking, on my writing, on my whole creative life, to be honest. It just kind of fell flat. And I'm going to change that starting right now on this Monday, which is the 14th of December, which will be the release date of this episode, number 26, which is exciting because finally I'm doing another episode and I haven't done one since July. And I am so mad at myself for not having done one sooner. So now I'm happy to announce that the Film Fraternity podcast is back and it's much better than ever. And I really mean that because now I got a new setup. If you're watching the video version, you'll see I have a new mic setup. And I also have new interviews, and it's going to be weekly. That's right, weekly. So a new episode every Monday. Is probably going to be 9 a.m. Pacific time, although I might change that to be a little bit sooner. But it's not dead. This podcast is by no means dead, guys. And I just want to let you know, if you're listening to this, that means you are one of the OGs, the original awesome people who are listening and subscribe to this podcast. And I thank you so much for listening because you're still in the early stages of this podcast and this community. I'm so excited for the future of it. I'm really excited to see where this goes. I'm going to try and revamp the Facebook page as well and come up with some new ideas. And I do have more than ideas. I already have content ready for the next 3 weeks, guys. So strap in because we are going to have new episodes starting right now. Number 26, we have a 27 and a 28 already lined up. And that's not all. I'm so excited for some more stuff. But on this episode, I feature a returning guest. But I'm going to leave that until after the intro. Here we go. This is the Film Fraternity Podcast, episode 26.
This is the Film Fraternity Podcast, a show that's all about filmmaking in college, so you can turn your student projects into powerful portfolios. And now, here's the host of Film Frat House, Zack Sabo.
Hey guys, I'm back, and I'm so excited for this episode because we have a returning champion on the show. His name is Grant Cook. And if you remember, we had him for a student showcase episode. He graduated just a year earlier than me, but we went to the same school, UC San Diego, and we both studied the same degree, and we had a couple classes together. So I figure that he'd not only be a great guest to return on this episode to talk about the holiday season coming up. We are actually in the holiday season, technically. But we're also going to have Grant come and return every month and I'll explain what I mean. So I'm changing the format of the show a little bit as far as releases. And at the end of every month, we're going to have what I am calling a Geek Week episode. So it's going to be like your normal Film Frat episode, except we're going to have a conversation between Grant and I at the end of every month, just geeking out on everything from movies that were just released during the month and also product releases as far as the camera companies go. So we're going to go as far as everything and anything from film equipment, gear, movies that have been released, any news in the industry, some indie films that have come out that maybe nobody's heard of, or student filmmakers that are also out there. And we might also talk about some other things like film festivals, anything else like that. Schools to go to or classes to take, what we thought about school. So it's going to be a ride. And so we have that locked in at every month for a while. Who knows how long it's going to be. But Grant and I are going to be just chatting and just talking about stuff. And I think we have a great chemistry. So I hope you guys enjoy those episodes because we just go off and geek out. We just recorded an episode. This is the episode that you're going to be listening to. It's not going to be a Geek Week episode. It's just a general Christmas episode, if you will. So this is coming out, this episode right here, and then the next couple of episodes are going to be different guests. So, but Grant will return at the end of January, guys. So we're going to be talking about new products, film news, and other stuff. Like I said, festivals, conventions, all that good stuff. So stay tuned because we have that coming up. All right, guys, without further ado, I want to get straight to the interview. Here is our conversation with Grant Cook. Let's talk about Christmas. All right, well, we have a returning champion today, and his name is Grant Cook. Welcome back to the show, Grant.
What's up? How you doing?
Man, it's been good. It's been a while. It's good to see you back, by the way.
Yeah. Good to be back.
Flesh. Yeah, it's good to see you. We recorded our last episode in person, if you remember, on campus.
Yes.
UCSD.
Oh, yeah. That was a little cluttered room, but that's okay.
Yeah. The editing suite at the UCSD editing facilities. Very cramped, right? But hey, we can still meet virtually, which is the theme for 2020. Hashtag virtual everything.
Hashtag 2020, please end.
Please end, as I'm wearing my 2020 shirt right now. For people who don't have a Patreon subscription to this podcast, they cannot see my shirt. And they can't even see you. So subscribe on Patreon. It's not that much. And you get the full video versions of the podcast. Anyway, I said that over and over again. Man, it's been a while. It's good to see you, Grant. How have you been overall?
Just honestly, everything has slowed down. I had to stop my 2 films from being produced because of COVID. But fortunately, my cast is still on. They're excited to still be part of both films, and they can't wait for next year to start and get it going.
Yeah, same here. I'm ready for the new year. At least you're trying to stay busy, right? So.
Just working for a client or two, trying to keep myself busy with the camera and take photos occasionally. And now going to real estate, that's a new thing.
That's cool.
That's a different story altogether. Just decided, that's just something I have to do in order to live, but still to follow your passion, do filmmaking, and do the best you can with what you got.
Yeah, and are you going to be doing like photography for real estate, or like what's your plan with the real estate journey?
Become an agent, but then the good thing about us filmmakers is that we know how to use a camera and how to light a room properly, and so for real estate, you have to pay someone or a videographer or a photographer to do all that. Where luckily, as for me, I don't have to do that. I'm doing it all. So so then advertising is on you, luckily.
Yeah, exactly. And you have a drone too, right? So you could do some aerial shots.
Yep.
Right?
Got my drone license. Got my drone license this year, and it'll be all set. Just
Sweet.
Permission. It'll be another skip I have to go through. There's another wall to go through, but that's all right. It'll be okay. Besides that, I still fall in passion with filmmaking.
There you go. That's awesome.
How about you?
Yeah. Oh man, my year has been crazy. So first of all, this is going to be the first episode since July. Believe it or not, I have a couple other interviews coming up to finish off 2020, but you're the first person after this long hiatus to return to the show and be as a first episode back. I've been really lazy this year, to be honest, and I apologize for the community, whoever is watching or listening to this podcast. I just kind of fell behind, but now I'm back, and I am going to try to keep to a weekly schedule, not bi-weekly, not monthly. I'm talking weekly, 1 episode a week. So that's a challenge. But hey, keeps me busy, and I love doing it now. So I have new ideas, and I feel like I have a fresh mind going into 2021. So
I think that's the best part. I think that's the best part of 2021 because now everyone has gotten the time to just pause and just restart or just get the time to just think over everything and kind of like come up with new ideas for the next year. And so,
Yeah.
even though,
Plus,
yeah, even though,
I had to change of scenery too because now I'm in a different state. Funny enough, as we talked about earlier, I'm now in Arizona in the Phoenix area. So like, just being in a different environment around different people, different landscapes and everything, it just gets you to like feel more inspired in general.
oh,
So I think my creative pistons are running in this here engine. So I'm starting to slowly get back into the rhythm of writing and just coming up with new ideas. So I'm really excited for the future. And hey, I have a full-time job too. So
that's good.
I'm excited about that. That's a first. So anywho, Christmas is coming up. This will be coming out on Monday, the 14th. So, of December. So this is exciting because this year has been actually good for technology. It may not have been good for anything else, but if there's one thing that this year was good for, it was filmmaking technology. I want to talk about that later, but we're approaching Christmas and we're coming up to the new year. So I just kind of want to reflect on some pastimes, like things that we used to enjoy and still enjoy around the holidays, like watching movies, right?
Oh yeah.
So this episode kicks off what I'm going to call Geek Week, which is going to be a monthly monthly podcast episode dedicated to just geeking out on movies, on tech and everything. And I figured you'd be the perfect guy to talk about it with. I need a partner. So
there you go. Partner in crime.
Partner in crime. There you go. I appreciate you coming on and being here for the who knows how long. But yeah. Now we can geek out about Christmas movies, which isn't really the most exciting thing. A lot of people say Hallmark movies are like really boring and repetitive, but what do you think about Hallmark movies? I don't know.
I mean, it's a good time to pass the time for the holiday, especially when you have nothing to do, like in the coronavirus times.
That's true.
But I mean, me, I personally like the classics, like White Christmas or What a Wonderful World, What a Wonderful Life.
It's a Wonderful Life. It's a Wonderful Life.
What a wonderful world. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The black and white classic, and it. I don't know. That movie sets the tone for Christmas the most, I think. Besides the old Dr. Seuss, Grinch Stole Christmas, and Rudolph. I always grew up with Rudolph when I was little. The stop motion was mind blowing to me. Just can't imagine how long it took for them to just do one scene for someone to just talk, for a reindeer to talk.
Yeah, I grew up on that movie too, and I look back and I think like, wow, like how far have we come when it comes to stop motion? Like I now, like when I think of stop motion, I now think of Fantastic Mr. Fox. I think of Isle of Dogs, all the Wes Anderson stuff, right? But more than that, just in general, like or Chicken Run, all these like, man, like how far have we come with technology? It's crazy.
It's insane.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable how even it actually takes a shorter period of time to get those movements done before people go insane with those. It's just like before it was just one at a time, but now like with the same piece, now if you look in behind the scenes footage, sometimes they will show that for a mouth they'll have like 10 versions of a mouth.
Yeah, right. It's crazy. That blew my mind. I was trying to think of what movie that was. Just as an example, it was I think it was a Halloween movie.
There was Corpse Bride. There was Nightmare Before Christmas.
Nightmare Before Christmas. That one.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that's debatable. Some people say the Christmas film or Halloween film. Personally, I think it's Halloween because it starts out Halloween, and the only reason why Christmas is involved because he fell down that tree and Christmas there, but then everything else is still Halloween themed,
Right.
even though has that Christmas part. But it's like if it feels the other way, then that makes sense. It's still debatable. I don't know how you feel about that. But.
Well, okay. I'm actually gonna be honest. I haven't seen the movie. I've only seen a little bit of behind the scenes, which is like, what made me remind me of the
Go
whole.
see it. Go
I know.
watch it.
I know. I had a lot of movies to see.
Oh yeah, this
But,
year that's a must watch.
Is it on streaming anywhere? I gotta find it.
I mean, do you have Disney Plus?
Oh, is it on Disney Plus?
It's a Disney film, so yeah, it should be.
Oh, sweet. Okay. Well, I have no excuse. I just got on Disney Plus like a couple months ago.
It's
So
great.
I think I've been just binging Star Wars: The Clone Wars since like
Mandalorian.
and I've been watching The Mandalorian too, of course. Of course.
Oh man,
Great.
I haven't watched today's, but it should be Friday. But
I haven't either. I haven't seen the last couple episodes, but I've seen like the first 3 or 4 of season 2. It's really good. I love it.
It's gonna be great. But yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say real quick. It's actually related to Star Wars, and it's relevant to the holidays. Have you seen the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special?
I was curious about that. I wanted to watch it. Is it good?
It's actually good. Not gonna lie, you wouldn't think it'd be that great, but it's actually kind of entertaining because they like make fun of some of the. It's made by Disney, of course. Like it's actually like a Lucasfilm production. Yeah. Lucasfilm made this Lego Star Wars Holiday Special, and they brought back Life Day, but they kind of Christmasized it. They kind of made it into like a little like holiday Christmas thing, which is kind of my least favorite part of it. Was like they're trying to make a kids thing out of Life Day, but the cool part was for fans, it really like was awesome fan service. Like they made fun of some of the previous things in the trilogy, all the characters. They like brought back different scenes from like the Skywalker saga, and they take Rey through like all these different scenes, and it's just hilarious. I can't explain it without giving stuff away.
I gotta check it out.
It's clever. It's really clever. So anyway, that's a holiday themed thing to watch.
So
came out.
Have you watched? Well, I think, first off, I think how well evolved the Grinch Stole Christmas has become. It went from the old classic, like 15-minute Dr. Seuss version, where then it went to Jim Carrey's, and then Illumination comes along and tries it out, and actually, I'm impressed.
You liked the Illumination version?
Yeah, it's actually, I think it's better than the Jim Carrey for sure, and because it started out as an animation. I feel like it's better animated, and even though Jim Carrey has his quirks and comedy relief in his version, but it doesn't feel the same as an anime. And there's more touchy moments in this one too. It might not actually. It gives the audience a reason to actually feel pity for the Grinch, where before it was more of a mystery why. They just think that he's just some grouchy old man with a grouchy guy with some problems with Christmas.
Yeah, I haven't seen the Illumination version. Again, something I don't know, didn't really come across my queue or anything. I don't know. I just didn't like end up watching it yet because I don't know. Maybe I thought it was a kids movie.
Oh, it's a kids movie. It's a kids movie for sure. It does have adult jokes here and there, but it's not as much as like Jim Carrey with the adult jokes. That's for sure.
Okay. All right.
Like Max getting his butt kissed by the mayor. Yeah. Oh, what an adult joke that is. That's ridiculous. But it's a good watch. I recommend it.
Okay.
and then the other one is also, it's funny. I come back to Jim Carrey all the time with this guy for his Christmas movies, but um, Christmas Carol with Jim Carrey, that is really good because he plays four characters in that film.
Really?
He plays Mr. Scrooge and the three ghosts of Christmas.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was touching, to be honest. I was scared. I actually was, you know the story about Christmas Carol, right?
Yeah. I know.
So
the
you know
story.
how the end with Christmas Future, he attempts to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's scary. It's not scary, but it's like at the end, you just actually don't want to let him die. That's how touching it is, and you go back. It's a really good film. The cinematography was great. It has a lot of dark shadows to it. It's not so light. It's actually dark, and the source of light is impressive, especially putting in its day and age, like in the 1700s. I want to say maybe 1700s, somewhere around that, and the voice acting again is from Jim Carrey, and it's funny. Not all of it has to be with him doing a slapstick all the time. He actually can be serious and do a pretty good, heartwarming film.
Yeah.
But then go ahead.
Oh, I have seen a version of the Christmas Carol, but I don't know if it was this one or not. And I would lean towards I haven't seen it because like I'm reading about it. And by the way, I cannot believe that Robert Zemeckis directed this.
Yeah.
I just found out. I'm like looking at the IMDb and everything. I'm like, wait a minute. Oh, I have a segue with Robert Zemeckis, but continue what you were saying.
But then there was one more Christmas film that I recommend that was made last year, actually.
Okay.
And it's called Claws. It's on Netflix. And I can't remember who directed it, but the animation is astonishing.
I did see that movie.
For an independent production company, that they did a great job. They did a great job at that, and I was a little skeptical at first because there's gonna be some. I didn't feel like it didn't have that much press to it. You know what I mean? There's not like no one thought. I thought, okay, you just walked it off and it was nothing. But then I think it actually got for best animation for 2019. Actually, I think.
You know what? I lied. I was thinking of a different movie, but I did hear about this movie though. I did hear about this movie.
It got nominated, but I was impressed, and I actually cried a few times. You can call like whatever you can say. Oh, you're toughing up, but no, it was heartwarming. I was impressed.
Hey, grown men can cry. It's okay.
I think there is actually a movie.
This is the right movie. We could cry. I think I cried. I'm trying to think of the last time I cried in a movie. It was probably I think it was a silent voice. It's an anime.
Yeah.
But it's really touching, man. Anyway, that's not holiday related.
I think there is a movie called Men Cry, Men Cry or something like that. I think there is.
I'm looking that up. Let me see if I could type "grown man cry."
I'm pretty sure
there's a song by Tim McGraw called "Grown Men Don't Cry."
Oh man, that's funny.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not gonna look anyway. I'm just gonna give up. Okay. Wait. So, what's your favorite? If you had to choose one Christmas movie, what would you watch over and over again? Like, what's your go-to Christmas movie?
Over and over again, it has to be. Yeah, it has to be Rudolph.
Rudolph. Okay.
I watched either Rudolph or the classical Grinch, Stole Christmas.
Okay.
Either one of those two, but I watched Frosty the Snowman before, but I don't. It's too short. I think to me it was too short. There's no real story to it besides him getting up to the coldest spot in the world
Mm-hmm.
and surviving. That's it. But then for Rudolph, there's more characters to them. Like there's character development, and you love the characters more. You relate more to each character, like Yukon Cornelius or Herbie the dentist,
Mm-hmm.
and
Right.
Rudolph and his parents, and Clarice.
Yeah.
Even Santa Claus has his moments. So like, wait, he's skinny? I didn't know he was skinny. And he's like, I'm not gonna eat. Oh, his Mrs. Claus just fed him a lot of food and he got fat. That's all. It's not all the cookies for every house he passed by. It's just all those. I don't know if it was meatloaf or something, but yeah, it's just the story. Even the snowman. They get the snowman narrator. It's
Yeah.
it just the fact that there's character development in this film makes it more entertaining to watch. You want to see more of like what else happens to these characters. You know what I mean? And that's what. And on top of that, the stop motion and the warm colors in the film. Like obviously, it's Christmas theme, but still, it's impressive. In that case.
It's been a while for me since I saw Rudolph, but as you're describing these scenes to me, I am like reliving those memories right now, and it's all coming back. It's like so good. Yeah, it's a classic. So that was a great answer. I like that movie. For me, I have a few titles for you. They're more contemporary, but I grew up watching these as well. I do have one that's more of a new one that I just watched like last. I think it was 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Okay.
So it came out last year. It was called Noel. It's on Netflix, I believe. If you've seen it, it's Noel with 2 L's and an E at the end.
Oh, I get it. Bells. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. So it follows the story of like, if say Santa had a granddaughter. So this, I think that's who she is anyway. I don't think it's a daughter; it's a granddaughter.
Oh.
Anyway, so she goes on a mission to save her brother, who escaped the North Pole and ended up in one of the hottest places in the world. And guess where the brother decided to go to? Phoenix, Arizona. And I found that so funny because like I was already planning my trip to come here to Phoenix. And when I saw that movie, I'm like, okay, is this a sign from like some higher force or something telling me, like preparing me for what's to come? Because like literally half the movie was featuring Phoenix, Arizona.
Wow.
It was the funniest thing in the world. But it's I wouldn't say it's like the best Christmas movie ever. Definitely not. But it was pretty entertaining. So give it a shot. It's fairly new. Noel on Netflix. Features. It's great.
I think I've seen the trailer. Is it? Who's the actor who plays Santa Claus?
I don't know who plays Santa, but who plays the main character Noel is Anna Kendrick. So she's
I gotta check it out.
Yeah, it's not a bad movie. Go ahead and watch it. It's a Christmas movie that plays out in a very hot place. And I kind of understand where the movie's coming from now, because over here in Phoenix it's like upper 60s, and it's wintertime. So at night it can get to like high 40s, but it's between that and like upper 60s. So it's pretty warm for winter. So the movie's not wrong in depicting Phoenix as bright and sunny all the time, because it really is. Anyway, as far as like favorite Christmas movies, I would have to lean towards this one that I grew up on, and it's going to go back to your Robert Zemeckis movie, A Christmas Carol, because I just looked it up. It was made in 2009, A Christmas Carol, with Jim Carrey. And 5 years prior to that movie, Robert Zemeckis directed a different Christmas movie that probably changed the industry for good, and it was The Polar Express.
Oh yes, that's it's
You
another.
know,
I forgot
I
about
am
that.
gonna
That is
put
really
that
good.
at number one because I grew up on that movie and I watched it over and over and over again. And I fell in love with Robert Zemeckis without even knowing who he was when I was little. Like,
Yeah.
I had no idea even who a film director was. So just seeing that movie was
Yeah,
really
that.
masterful in
Oh,
storytelling and groundbreaking in technological innovation, because you see the animation, and by today's standards, like, people really like to compare it to what's it called, that space in visual effects where it's like real but not real. It's falling in the space between. You know what I'm talking about? What is that called?
what is that called?
Uh, where we're falling into this space where we want to relate to the characters fully, but we can't because they're not quite as real as we want them to be. I'll think about that.
Right.
It's a terminology
I'm not
that,
sure. Yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah. So anyway, it was still groundbreaking at the time because in
Oh yeah.
2004,
Oh.
CGI was still like very new as far as getting to that point of realism.
Now you
And
look at it and you're like, wow, look where we see how we've grown.
well, you know what? If you watch the Blu-ray version of the Polar Express, it looks
Yeah.
fantastic, and it still stands
Really?
today as
Yeah.
in my opinion. The
Yeah.
movie really stands the test of time even now.
Oh yeah. I mean it like you said, it's like the grandfather of CGI. It's the one that started it all, especially for Christmas films.
Yeah. It's
And
just
now
a
you
great
look at
story.
it,
Yeah.
and now you see Illumination, and they're doing The Grinch Stole Christmas, and they're like, woo!
Yeah, wow.
Yeah,
I mean,
but I
CGI
oh
has
yeah,
come a long way, but when it comes to actually simulating human motion and trying to get them to a point where we're almost replicating human movements,
right,
like, we're not talking about a cartoon like The Grinch in that
yeah,
case, where it's like purely an animation. We can do whatever the heck
right.
we want. We're not in that sort of zone where we're trying to get to realism,
Mhm.
right? There's a little bit more freedom with animation in that
Right.
sense. But when we're going into like motion capture, which is what they did for the Polar Express, you really start to want to relate to these characters and get into the story more. And I will never forget the first opening scene when the train just rolls in the middle of the night,
Oh.
and you see the steam come out of the smokestacks, and boy, like, the effects were just mind blowing. Like, it really creates a painting, in my opinion.
Yes, it can literally do a still shot of that scene.
Yeah, that's just why they chose that shot for the front cover of the DVD and the poster. It's where the kid, they show him in scale with the giant train.
The train, yeah,
And it's
literally.
so awesome. Anyway,
Yeah, it's amazing.
and I also love the soundtrack too. I think it was I gotta look up who composed that, but man, that really got me into the movie too. I'm actually looking at it now. If I can see, that really got me into the movie. I do want to say that my second favorite Christmas movie is Elf. Will Ferrell.
Oh man, Will Ferrell.
I know it's like everyone's favorite probably because it's a comedy. It's Will Ferrell. Huh?
Anchorman.
Anchorman, yeah.
Yeah, he's funny. He's a funny guy. I mean, I did watch Elf. I'm not a huge fan of Elf.
Okay, that's fair.
It's an interesting. I mean, it's an interesting film. I could watch it one more time, and then I don't think I could watch it like hundreds of times. I think it's more of a comedy relief that if you were really bored, you have nothing to do, that is what you watch.
Okay.
Especially around December, that's what you would watch.
Okay, well, that's debatable.
And you're a Will Ferrell fan.
To be honest, yeah, I'm not as much of a Will Ferrell fan these days, but every once in a while, I still like watching Elf. It's a funny
Yeah.
movie. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just lifts my spirits a little bit when I'm
Oh
down.
yeah. Oh yeah. And he's like, "Hi, raccoon," and the raccoon just tries to shred his face up.
Yeah, or he's in the conference room at the company that like one of his
He's
new
a
friends
bad.
is
He's a
at.
mad elf.
He's an angry elf. He's an angry elf. Yeah, it's so funny in the mall.
Yeah.
I make fun of mall Santas and
Oh yeah.
anyway, wow, where are mall Santas now in 2020? Do they have a job still?
I know. I actually the mall that we have it had the setup, and it looked like they're still doing Santa even though it's a COVID.
Oh,
I didn't know
they're doing
kids
like
Santa.
is socially distancing the kids away from Santa's lap.
It's like here's the couch. Santa's on this side, the kids on the other side.
Okay.
It'd be like, so what would you like for Christmas? Besides a mask. I want a mask for Christmas.
Face palm. All right. That's 2020 for you guys.
Yeah,
we lived. If you're listening to this like 10 years from now, we once had a time where we had to wear masks out in public. Anyway, and this thing called social distancing, which.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, okay. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. By the way, composer of the Polar Express soundtrack was Alan Silvestri, one of the best film composers out there. Anyway, so good. I got to get the DVD because I don't think I have it anymore. I wonder if they have a 4K Blu-ray version.
Oh, that.
Totally get it. I'm just a nerd like that. And now
you do that, and then eventually everything's gonna become red ray. It's like red ray. Is that blue ray? It's red ray. This is
yeah.
And then you got to get copies of everything unread.
Honestly, though, where can we go from here as far as 4K UHD Blu-rays? I feel like that's so
5K.
good that there's nothing that can get better than that as far as home entertainment. I don't know.
Probably 5K maybe, or just some.
We don't need 5K. Anything above 4K, in my opinion, is just not necessary because like we can't even perceive the pixels anymore.
Right. It's too realistic.
Yeah.
You know those TV screens that just like I think they are 4K. It's when you watch it and then you look at look at the movie or the show, it looks like you're literally watching watching through actually the camera that they use to record. It's too realistic.
Yeah.
I
totally get that.
Too far. I think that's a little too far.
Well, plus the new TVs have like this adaptive motion rate where like they try to smooth out the frames. Like even though that what I noticed is like if you shoot in 24 or 30 frames per second, and most TV is broadcast at 30 frames per second. And I know this because I actually worked in the TV business for a few months. We had to export in 30 frames per second. So that's what you see on broadcast all the time. Well, on the new 4K TVs, they have this new motion rate technology that sort of blends these frames together and smooths it out to almost this hyper realism. And it really turns me off. I really don't like it. Especially when I think you could change it in the settings on your TV. By default, your TV is set to this super fluid motion, and it kind of like hurts your eyes at first. So anyway, I have mixed feelings about new TVs. Yeah, but as far as that, get 4Ks or just download digital copies or don't do any of that. Just like get streaming. Disney Plus has 4K streaming now anyway, right? So
right.
Yeah. Disney Plus is great. Anyway.
Oh yes.
I do want to get into our next topic. We could talk about all these things on and on because I know we're both film geeks.
Oh yeah.
And here we go. We're going to talk about gear. All right. Christmas time is a time for shopping. And I know Black Friday has already passed. Thanksgiving has already passed as of this recording. But what are some of the things that stood out to you this year as far as technology? What are you interested in? What have you already got? Maybe what's on your wish list this year?
So, what I've heard is that Sony came out with a new camera that is similar to a Canon camera. I can't remember the name, but it is really impressive. I know that it's supposed to be like a smaller version of the Canon as well, and it's the Canon the one I'm talking about. It's used for more like videography, podcast, commercial projects, and now Sony's kind of doing the same thing, and it's a smaller version. And I'm like, that's impressive. I can't imagine what the lens would be for that one, and I think it's supposed to take 4K with that one as well. That's I know there that's I know that there is something going on with which company is it? I think Nikon. I know something came up with Nikon that they're coming up with a new lens. I might be wrong with that. There's something they're trying to do. Just get a wider lens.
Okay.
But what I got recently was it's called a Go Wireless. I think I'm saying that right.
Wait, is it by Rode?
Yes.
Oh, the Rode Wireless Go. You're talking about the little wireless packs that are like really, really small, right? It's almost like a microphone pack.
Yes.
It's like I want one of those too.
I personally think that is better than you would use a shotgun mic.
Wow.
I say that because it's convenient. It's all you can carry it all in your pocket, and you get a basic mic for your mic for your shirt to just clip on, and it works great. The voice is clear, and the best part, if you don't have one, it's one by itself. You just have to plug it into the best part is that you plug it into the camera, and it will already sync into the video. So then when you edit, you don't have to sync the separate audios just to replace one. That's the best part. And then when you put it in, you can just hide it under your shirt, and then no one know it's there, and you can still record, which is great. That's what I've been using for an interview with someone. The same guy I was talking about with the Kickstarter. I used that, and I'm like, you get rid of the shotgun mic. Use that.
Shotguns take so long to set up. And with microphone wireless packs, whichever one you use really, but especially these ones, they're so easy. Just drop them in a pocket. They sync automatically, right? And like you said, you can put it on your camera, plug it in directly, no sync required in post. And
the best part is it lasts longer with the battery.
How long is the battery?
I think it's like 10 hours.
Wow.
I think. Maybe I'm guessing that's the max. Maybe it might just be 8 hours, but I know I left it into charge for a while, and after the interview, which was like 2 hours, it still at full bars. I'm like, wow, that's impressive.
And they charge by USB-C, right? They have an internal battery, right? So
yes, you have to plug. So that's the best part. You don't have to get like double A's you don't have double A's in your pocket. It's like, all I know is that when I was doing the interview, there's nothing but double A's in everything was filled with double A's. And I'm like, oh, charge it. I'm like, it's like a shotgun.
It looked like literally a shotgun for filmmakers. Since we both went to the same school and experienced the same film experiences, but we had at our school, UC San Diego, we had to do film projects where, you know, we use these task cam recorders, right? They upgraded them since we graduated, but the problem is they still take AA batteries, and they die like in an hour or two, like 2 hours maybe if you're lucky. But they die so fast, and we always had to carry spare batteries on us, and the rechargeable batteries that they gave us from the school like didn't really last long either. So we were left high and dry, and we had to buy like batteries at like the campus marketplace, which were way overpriced.
No kidding.
Anyway, yeah, it was a horrible situation. So the fact that, you know, you can get something with an internal battery that's fairly inexpensive compared to other solutions.
Oh yeah.
The Sennheisers, which by the way, the Sennheiser battery packs and everything, those take AA's. I know those because I worked with them. They sound great with the microphone, of course, the Sennheiser mics. But you pay like $800 for a pair. With the wireless Go here, you're paying what, $200 maybe for one pair?
I think it was like 160. I think.
Is it on sale?
Oh, it was on Black. It was maybe even Black Friday, but I don't know now. Maybe. But all I know is that it's a better purchase. In my opinion, it's a better purchase than the shotgun mic.
Yeah. Well, especially for what you want to do, interviews, and something I think I want to do too. It's perfect.
I mean, you could still. I heard. I mean, from reviews, I've heard that you could still use them for filmmaking too. It's what's good is that for these, it really, imagine like the sound that catches. It's like a bubble. Like it will only capture this much.
Oh yeah.
And that's it. It will just mute out any other sounds around you.
Yeah.
Which is great. And so again, you hide it behind it underneath a shirt. You still get the dialogue, and then you just fix it up in post. Which there is a trick that I've done for the interview where you have to I don't know how to explain it, but all I know is that you set it up and you press a certain button that will automatically rip. It'll say to only focus on that, and everything will be quiet. But then you get his voice. I'm like, wow,
that's great. That's really great. That's impressive. I have to say, I really want one of those. But first on my list is a camera. After what I just bought, which I'm going to tell you later, because I bought something pretty expensive. But yeah, that's on my list definitely for the future. It's a great thing. I'll put all these things that we're talking about, by the way, in the show notes of this episode. So if you want to check them out, there's an Amazon link. It may or may not be affiliated, but I'm going to let you guys know in the show notes whether or not it's affiliated, so you know, because we have to tell you guys if we're sponsoring a product, and we might get paid for it on a commission basis. So
sorry, I can't remember the names of the Sony camera, but I know it's a recent one and it is really good.
Well,
so what about
I might know, because for people who really know me, they know that I'm a Sony fanboy. So the fact that you mentioned Sony just perked my ears up, and I think I might know what you're talking about. Are you talking about the camcorders, like the cinema line kind of Sony cameras? Okay, so it's going to be the Sony FX6.
Yes, that's
the Sony FX6 is actually a step forward in affordability in the cinema line, because I think it's actually one of the most affordable, if not the most affordable cinema camera from Sony. It's still pretty expensive. It's like six grand, but the features you get is pretty awesome. I mean, you get built-in ND filters, you get auto ND on that thing, which is a Sony, like they nail that technology better than anybody else that I've experienced.
I mean, that camera is perfect. I mean, in my opinion, besides the one I have, which is the A73, the A73. That, besides that one, that is a good camera to work with when you're doing filmmaking. Like that camera we're talking about, that's a step up from the one I have. Like this
Uh-huh.
would be the one I have is for beginners. For those who are out there who are starting to become filmmakers, I suggest going with Sony, starting with the A7 III if you can afford it, then go for that one, the one where we're
Totally.
talking about.
Totally agree. Totally agree with you. Although I have a slightly even more affordable option than the A7 III for those who are interested. It has very similar technology that the A7 III has, but it has a slightly more limitation with the sensor.
Mm.
But yeah, about the FX6, just to wrap that up, it's another step forward in price because it has features that were built into the FX9, which is the beefier one.
Yeah.
And it might have slightly better color representation by just a little, but for the
Mm.
most part, it's almost identical to that. So
Right.
the fact that you're getting cinema quality, which by the way, Sony's built-in, I think it's called Cine Alta technology, is
I
is
think
one of the
so.
best out there, and it's comparable to the Black Magics. It's comparable to
Mm.
Red, and maybe not quite the Ari Alexa, because that still has
Yeah.
an edge in the industry. But for the quality that you get and the raw capabilities in the Sony's, the FX6 is great. So look out for that. If you another comparable cinema line, if you want to go with Canon, there's the Canon C300 Mark II, and I think the Mark III. I'm not sure. Those are very, very similar, but Canon is usually a little bit more expensive, I find. But don't really go for those because I like the auto ND and the built-in ND
Oh,
filters on the Sonys. It just saves your life,
oh
saves you
it
money.
does.
ND filters can cost anywhere from 80 to
Oh,
$200 per ND
yeah,
filter.
per. That's the issue. It's per. If there was like a bundle, I sign me
Yeah.
up. Yeah, I'd be going out there to get it right now. But nope, it's individual. So
Uh-huh.
That's why that's a good buy because it's already built in.
Yep. And speaking of the A7 III, which you have and I really want. I really want that camera. Did you get to see this year Sony released a smaller version of that camera? It's called the A7C. Did you see that?
No, but now I'm
It was
curious. You
about
got me curious.
it was about a month or two ago. Sony just released this, and you can see on bnhphotovideo.com, which I love B&H, by the way. They're a great company. And I just ordered one of my favorite wish list items from them. And what was I saying? The A7C is basically a more compact version of the A7 III, but with slightly better autofocus and slightly better colors. So they fixed a magenta shift, which a lot of people complain about with the A7 III, right? There's like a magenta kind of shift, blue magenta that kind of
Yeah.
stands out than the rest of the colors that you have to fix in post. It's
Mm.
like a Sony issue. But the
Yeah.
A7C kind of fixed that. And it's getting people's attention. And same thing with the A7S III, which also just came out this year, which everyone was waiting for a long time. I would get that actually more than the A7C. But the A7C is actually, I think it's going for $79.99 or 17.99. 17, not 70.
Oh man.
It's late where I am. All right.
No, it's all right.
Um,
But it makes sense though.
so $1,800,
Mm.
whereas the A7 III, it was $2,000. I think now it's actually got a price drop with the holidays.
Mm. Oh
But
yeah.
the A7C basically takes on the body of the A6000 series, which is the crop lens, right? The APS-C
Right.
sensor size lens. So it's a pretty amazing feat that Sony was able to do by taking the full frame sensor into an APS-C body. So that's huge, especially
Oh.
for travel filmmakers and photographers.
Oh, for sure.
So
Yeah,
what do you think
definitely.
about that? Would you? I wouldn't say upgrade to that because you have the same camera pretty much. So don't
Yes.
don't get an A7C if you already have an A7 III. but if you have an A7 II or you have an A7R 2 or 3, I would consider getting it.
Right. I mean, it's for filmmakers, that's the best way to go. It is. If you really want your visuals to look spectacular and you want to have that 4K look, it's good. Especially in plus, it can go up to, if I remember correctly, it can go up to 120 frames per second on the A7 III, which is great because imagine doing, like, if you're trying to capture a hummingbird. I'm still trying to do that though. I'm still trying to do a zooming, close-up shot of a hummingbird, of getting its movements of the wings, the slow motion, and that's gonna be great. And that's a bonus, I think, because if you're trying to do like music videos or do like scenes in a film, like in Sherlock Holmes Shadow Games, or even any of the Sherlock Holmes, but Robert Downey Jr., he has those moments or montages where it's slow to give the audience time to think about it or think it's in his head, and he's like going step by step of what he's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same idea. He goes fast, slow. It's perfect for that kind of stuff.
There you go. Yeah, slow motion. Yeah, it's the future, I think. A lot of stock footage especially has slow motion, which is great, by the way. Another source of revenue, which I'm kind of exploring right now, is selling stock footage. So doing slow motion scenes of a city even, or nature like you're doing. That's a great way.
Time lapses too.
Time lapses, yes.
Yeah.
More so actually for cityscapes, yeah.
Because then you see the lights going from on and off.
Yep.
That's what I'm trying to do for one of my films too. Is like goes from day to night. Yeah,
that's super cool. Is there anything else that you bought this year for Christmas or you want?
For film related, actually, you know what? I bought myself an Aputure light.
Really? Which one?
Oh, what is it? It's not the. I think it's the Aputure number 2, not 3, not the third, not 3. It's 2.
Which one are you talking about? Is it a spotlight kind of light? Like the bigger ones that you can like attach like attachments to.
Yeah.
Is it the 120D?
Oh, it's it's 120D2.
Okay, 120D Mark II.
Yeah, Mark II.
That's a nice light.
And I can tell you right now that's like I've done product videos that it looks amazing. It looks amazing with that light. Now that's my go-to light. If I want to interview someone, I'll bring that light, put it on the guy's face, get a bounce board to get the fill light, and bam, it's perfect. I love even like yes, it is actually. I think nowadays people use LED the most than tungsten for good reason. Mm-hmm. It looks 100 times better, more efficient. It does get hot, but still, it gives you that soft light. It's
what really I heard from Aputure is that their lights in general are great for video because they're silent.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes. It is silent. You'll not make unless unfortunately for me, because like imagine you wanted to take that anywhere. And like if it's outside, you have to bring yourself an external battery, like those big fat ones, and that makes noise. That's the substitute of the noise. But besides that, that's quiet as a mouse.
Yeah, that's really awesome for filmmaking. There's a budget option. I'm trying to think of what the competitor is for Aputure. I know Aputure. I'm looking on Godox. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So if you look on B&H's website, you'll most likely see at the top of the list either Aputure or Godox when you search for LED lights. And I did a lot of research on this because I want a light for my non-existent studio right here. I'm only using one light right here. That's like $40, really cheap. It's giving me some nice soft light, which is decent.
Yeah, I can see it.
And the color temperature is able to change, so you can change it from 32 to 5600 Kelvin.
Right.
Yeah, which is what I would recommend to people starting out.
Oh yeah.
Variable color temperature is great. But with the Godox ones, the problem is that you might get a cheaper version of an Aputure, but the light itself is going to be louder. The fan's going to be noisier. Yeah. And two is that it overheats faster, from what I heard. This is all hypothetical from just reading reviews and everything. I don't have experience with it, but that's what I've been hearing. Slightly more affordable, but also less powerful, if I'm recalling, and also less accurate as far as color representation. So like the whites aren't going to be pure white, if you know what I mean. Like,
right.
Like I think these lights are measured in this unit that I'm trying to CRIs, I think.
Yeah.
I don't really know the science behind it yet, but that's kind of what it is. The Aputures have a higher CRI rating, so they're just more accurate to color, and they'll reflect the real colors that you would see with your eyes, which is great.
So, I mean, for what's on my wish list this year, honestly, I don't know. I don't have anything on my wish list this year.
No.
Like
really?
film related. I might want to get another Rode mic, like another one of those will go wireless. Just so then I can, because then when I film for my Too Young for War, I can just make both of them wear one, and then it'll just be set up that way. Because then both will be set up on two cameras, because then I can get two angles at once, saves me the time, and then I don't have to worry about bringing a shotgun mic to the set or wherever force we're gonna get permission from.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
that totally works.
But besides that, I'm maybe a simple suit for real estate. I don't need anything. I'm set. I think maybe my own studio. My wish list is my own personal studio, not this. So then I can actually have a setup for like store my film stuff and film equipment, and so then I actually have a white. I have a green screen, a white screen, and a black screen. I could be perfect just to set up, and then that could be my background or something like that, or just at least have something else, or just a big set. There you go. Here's the stuff. It's all set up. So whenever I have to film, there you go. That's what I wish. Maybe when I get my own place, I'll have a little space to be like, hey, that's my space.
Yeah. You know what? As far as my wish list goes, I think that's where yours and mine are in common, because I kind of want a studio too. Now, I do have the space now, because before I didn't really live in California still, and I didn't have as much space. But now this room's pretty empty right now. So on the wall behind me, as I make more and more episodes of this podcast, some more things might be popping up behind me. But a green screen, I think, is definitely on my wish list too.
Oh yeah.
It would be really nice to just be able to get a clean background behind me.
Yeah, don't do the ones that they have on this. That's terrible. It's
for Zoom.
You could just see the edges. You'd be like, wow, that's bad. That reminds me of that one class you and me had that class. It was maybe not the same period, maybe, but it was the one, the science fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
you had to use learn how to use a green screen, and you're like, oh wow, that looks. If you don't do it right, it looks like a low budget film.
Yep. Yeah, I totally remember that class. That was fun.
That was a lot of fun.
It's probably one of my favorite classes actually at UCSD. If I had to rate, oh my class, mainly because of the professor who taught that class, which
Yeah.
Mr. Michael Trujillo, who I actually featured on this podcast, by the way.
Oh, really?
Did you know that?
No. How's he doing?
Oh, he's good.
That's
I
good.
interviewed him like earlier this year over Zoom.
Ah,
So, for those listening, Michael Trujillo is a professor at UC San Diego. He's in the visual arts department. And Grant and I both had him as a professor, and he's great. Very big into science fiction, visual effects. And I recommend listening to my conversation with him. That was fun. Yeah. So another thing. So yeah, green screen is what I want from my studio here. Maybe some posters too, just to like
yeah.
decorate. I really want some posters back here. Maybe some branded ones too. Maybe I'll make some like film fraternity thing. I don't know, whatever. I'll think of it later. But so big reveal of what I bought this year that I've been wanting to buy for a couple years now.
All right.
It is a drone.
Oh, okay. Which one?
Finally decided to suck it up and get a drone because I have a plan to make money with it.
Okay.
So I want to make some money doing what you do, like real estate, but with just being the contractor guy who goes out and does the drone job, right? Takes photos, video of the property. And the drone that I got on B&H was the Mavic Air 2.
Oh, that's a good one.
Which is the middle ground between the Mavic Mini and the Mavic 2 Pro. So if you know about these specs, I'm not going to get into it too much, but it's priced about in the middle. B&H had a sale which came with a waterproof case, so a really nice hard case, landing pad, anti-collision lights, and all this other fancy lens cleaning kit, everything.
There you go.
Then they gave it away for the same price as you would get the drone normally by itself.
Wow.
Which is great. So
how long does it last? How long does the battery? Yeah. How does it?
It's like around 30 to 40 minutes. I think it's like 35 minutes if I remember. Okay. It's not too bad.
That's not too bad.
But the great thing why I chose the Mavic Air 2 over the Mavic Mini 2, or Mavic, I think it's the Mavic Mini 2.
So there's a regular Mini, but I think they came out with a 2.
Yeah, there's a 2, and I almost went with that, but the problem was that I wanted something a little bit more durable, something that can withstand wind just a little bit more. Because I'm going to be doing more professional jobs. And second of all, the new features that are built into the Mavic Air 2 are awesome. And I'm talking about HDR photos. I'm talking about 48 megapixel photos, which is unbeatable. Like not even the Mavic 2 Pro has that. So you can take really high resolution photos with that. And of course you get to film in 4K 60, which is great. I think the Mavic Mini was still stuck at 4K 30. And second of all, the Mavic Air 2 has the ability to do motion tracking, subject tracking.
That comes in handy.
So subject tracking is awesome because if you want to just like lock on a person walking and just circle around them constantly, the drone will follow them as they walk, which is sick.
That's sick.
And you can also, instead of like having to set like a precise movement to like circle around an object in general, object tracking will say, focus on this point in the house and then just move one stick to the right or left and it will do a full rotation around it, which is mind-blowing.
That comes in handy. That will come in handy for sure.
I love that. The only thing with the drone is that you have to have a license to fly it for pay.
Yeah.
Luckily, I do have my license, so I can do that. But most people like to get the Mini because you don't have to have a license. So I mean, that's for another topic.
Yeah.
What are you saying?
I was gonna say you still need permission to fly in that zone though.
Right. You still need permission regardless.
Yeah, regardless of it.
Yeah.
You might not need the license to use it, but you still need to get permission from the location itself, depending on where it is.
Yeah. It's private property, definitely.
Right.
You want permission. If it's public property, there's a little bit more wiggle room to get away with stuff like that. Because people walk around like libraries or parks and stuff like that. Like those you can probably get away with without having to tell anybody. But a police officer could probably stop you.
Yeah, there was a rally going on in Claremont, and they and there was someone recording it with a drone, and I'm like, "Are you sure you can do that?" Because last time I did, you need permission because it's a V airspace.
Yeah, right.
And so I'm like, oh, okay, nice.
So
without me.
Crash course, guys, for those listening. I don't know if I talked about this on my drone episode of the podcast, which I did a full episode about drones. It's out of date because now we have the Air 2 and the Mini 2 and the Pro 2. But when we're talking about airspace, you have to get permission to fly above Class B or A and C and D airspaces.
Yeah, D.
Because they're all airports.
Only G is the only airspace you're allowed to film in, and unless you're out in the desert, that's the only there's no way. Good luck finding a space to film out here in California because you're going to be surrounded by private airports and LAX or even Ontario airport. There's no way you'd be lucky. You need to get permission for sure.
Yeah. Luckily, they're making it easier to get permission now with apps like AirMap, allowing it in the app to go and request permission from airports and stuff like that. But still, you need a license, and still you need a really good excuse to fly above in airspaces like that. Yeah,
like we're just saying the real estate. That's a good reason because it's commercial, and you would have to use it to film.
Yeah, for real estate or for news photography, a lot of news stations are using drones now. So. Yeah. Anyway, that's the big ticket item that I purchased. It's still on the way. It hasn't arrived yet, but yeah.
There is one more purchase I made this year. It is, I don't know if you ever heard of it, but it's called the GoPro Max.
I have not heard of that. No.
For those of you out there who travel a lot, that is a good camera to get. It's small. It has a camera on each side, and there's a touch screen. And you have to get an extension. You can either get it put it on your head, on your wrist, or on the stick. And it does a 360 shots, and
wow.
It does slow-mo. It works underwater. I tried, even without the cover on it. It still works underwater. And there, when I thought, since I'd be traveling, I can bring that along with me and do a lot of filmmaking with that as well. And I'm going to experiment with that for sure next year. That's going to be a big thing. I want to use up as much of the equipment as I have as I can, and that's going to be one of them. That's a big one. And I recommend it for those who do a lot of scuba diving, hiking, or even any kind of traveling. Like if you want to do like vlogs, that's a great thing to do too. But it's a lot of fun. I think if I remember, it is 4K. And
I'm looking at it right now.
And
it's 6K.
Oh wow.
Somehow it's 6K, which is awesome.
Really good. It's really good. It's a really good camera.
Wow, I'm impressed. I'm usually not very impressed by GoPro these days because of the stuff that DJI is putting out.
Yeah,
it's pretty comparable, if not better, especially when it comes to like the Pocket Osmo cameras.
Yeah,
which are really awesome. Yeah. Very stable. But GoPro, when it comes to this kind of stuff, 360, and it can take 16.6 megapixel photos.
Yes,
That's actually very impressive, I
that
must
is
say.
impressive.
And it can do 1080p live streaming, you
Yep.
know, all that kind of
Yep.
stuff straight out of the camera, right? So
Yeah,
that's fantastic. You know, I recommend that for sure.
exactly.
If you're a vlogger, for sure, that's awesome. Wow, I'm impressed. That's really cool.
Yeah, I just because I know in the future when I have family of my own and I've done more traveling, I want to bring that along with me as much as I can. My A7 III as well, because it's it's a good thing to do travel photography and videography, because then it's a way to get your experience and then also do something fun with your family or your children, and that's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's a good gift item. It's not the most expensive camera I've seen.
Oh
It's
no,
really good quality.
it,
So, yeah, great. That's awesome. And to wrap this up, one thing on my wish list is still a camera, and it might be a while before I actually get my own camera. I know it sounds crazy since I'm supposedly a filmmaker, but the excuse was that in school we were able to borrow cameras from our
right.
university, which was awesome. But I'm on the fence with my choices here because I want something I can do stills and video. But I look at some things like the Blackmagic Pocket 4K, and I think, wow, that value is so good. And the quality that you get out of that is fantastic. I would almost lean towards that, but then you don't get stills out of that. So then I go back to Sony because, like I said, I'm a
Yeah.
Sony fanboy. So is it for me? Am I going to spend more and get the A7C or 3 since it's a little bit lower now in price? Well, my alternative option was possibly getting an A6400 with a decent lens on it. And the A6400 is something I recommend to people. I'll put that in the link in the show notes on Amazon and B&H. But that camera has a lot of similar specs to the A7 III as far as color science. It's different from the A6500. And I think, and the 63 as well, 62, because the 64 specifically came out later. And so it implemented some of the color science technology that Sony developed.
Yeah.
That was slightly more refined. And it also has great autofocus. The only thing that the A6400 doesn't have that I wish it did was inbuilt stabilization.
Yeah. Hey, that's why people get the 5. The 65. Yeah, 6500. Yeah.
But the problem is then you miss out on that new color science.
Yeah.
65 does not have that. But this is why I'm thinking if I want stabilization, it's most likely going to be in the lens, but also you might be getting a gimbal later on too anyway. At least for me, I might want to get like a Ronin gimbal, in which case in-body stabilization is almost not necessary at all. So, it's not a deal breaker for me. I can do without it. I care about the quality of the image and the tech specs of it, which, by the way, the A6400 can do 4K at 60 frames per second.
Oh, yeah.
Unlike the Canon EOS RP, which is very similar. I was looking at that camera too. But that can only do 4K in 24. And it has a very severe crop. So it's full frame. That's the one big advantage. The A6400 is not full frame. It is an APS-C size sensor. So there's that. But like I said, go with the more budget option. Goes for $899, I think, the A6400, or spend almost twice the money, but get a full frame. And it has a more maybe sturdy body and everything. I don't know. I'm on the fence, but I have time to decide.
Exactly.
I don't know what your thoughts are. What should I go for? Because you said you have the A65, so. an
Yeah,
A7 III now.
I think that it's because you can always edit. You can always. I know they're gonna say don't think about it as like it's to put throw in post, but I think stabilization is important. If it is important,
Mhm.
I think the especially for budget, the 6500 is the better choice. Is the better option for that. It's not as
Okay.
expensive, but it's not the best. It's still is I think I mean when I look at when I compare both of my cameras, I don't see too much difference really. There are differences, but it's like it's you can just bring down the resolution on the Ace A7 III and
Mm-hmm.
it's the same. I honestly didn't see the difference too
Okay.
much. I mean, there's obviously it's better, yeah, but in multiple ways. But it's it's a great substitute for, and if you're not going to get the A7 III, that's a better option
Okay.
because then you'll have you'll have the balance, you'll have the stabilization, and you can always get a gimbal later on,
Mm-hmm. Right.
and it'll yeah it's and again it's the budget. I think
Right.
that's what I think.
Okay.
You
That's
don't
a
want to be
fair.
you don't want to be too expensive immediately. I mean,
Right.
yes, like yeah, I say that, and I got the most expensive one first, and well, I mean, I started with the cheap one, and then I decided, okay, I'll go with the expensive one because at least I have two. So if one goes bad, then I have the backup one.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, especially for student filmmakers just starting out, you can't
Yeah,
really spend that much. Um,
you can't
In
at all.
fact,
You can't.
I have more affordable options, and I'll link those in the description / show notes as well. From Canon, I recommend the SL3, which is probably the most affordable but quality
Yeah,
camera that you can get. And then we can go into lenses too. I might just throw a couple lenses in the list as well. Call it our holiday wish list / go-to shopping list if you are a first-time camera buyer or a drone buyer or any of that good stuff. I'll have all of that in the show notes. Anyway, that's our big holiday special. I am actually so glad that Grant, you are joining me on this journey. You're going to be back.
I will.
We
I'll
teased
be
this
back.
earlier. I'll be back. We teased this earlier in the episode, but you will be back at the end of every month as of right now for
Oh yeah.
we'll see. We're gonna run this Geek Week thing and see how we do. I think it's fun. We talked a long time today already.
Oh yeah.
But it's all good. We have so much to talk about in the world of filmmaking.
Oh yes, we
Especially
do.
for students, it's more accessible than ever before. So I'm glad we can talk about it together because
Definitely.
especially during these trying times, it's good to have somebody to
Oh,
talk to as well.
no kidding. Yes, it's like there's another human being on this planet. Oh,
I'm
my
just talking to
crazy
myself.
man.
Yeah,
Yes, the treasure
exactly.
planet. Treasure planet. But Ben gets stranded on that planet for millennia, and he's like, "I've been marooned for so long." Yeah, little nuts.
There you go.
Exactly.
Yep. Thanks for joining me, Grant. It's been fun
Of
talking to
course.
you. And people know where to find you on social media and stuff because I think we already talked about that in our other
G
episodes.
Lens G Lens Productions. Check it out.
Lens Productions on Facebook or a website.
Instagram, and I have a Twitter. Don't use it too much, but don't worry, I'll still contact you if you answer the phone.
Awesome. All right, there you have it. There you have it, guys. All right, we'll see you guys next week. Not you, not Grant and I, but me. For a couple of weeks, we're gonna end December off strong with a full month's worth of episodes going into 2021. And then at the end of January, we'll be back, Grant and I, with some more updates. Hopefully with some more product releases, because those are fun to talk about.
Oh yeah.
All right. Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll be back soon. Grant, signing off, right? Thanks for joining me.
That's all from this episode of the Film Fraternity Podcast. For more filmmaking tips and tricks you can use on your next project, visit www.filmfrat.com. That's FILMFRAT.com.